For week 11 essay question, we had to describe the sequence of events that occur when you are very hungry and enter a house where you smell delicious food cooking, include both nervous system and digestive processes. Okay, we're going to start with phase one, which is the cephalic reflective phase. So imagine you walking home from a long day of work and you smell a good pot of mac and cheese cooking. What happens is it starts with the cephalic or reflective phase. This occurs when the gastric secretions occur before food enters the stomach. So this is it's only a few minutes long. This phase is triggered by the aroma. So the taste, or you walk in, you smell the food, or you see the food, or the just thought of like, man, I can't wait till this is done. I can actually eat this food. And in this phase, this triggers the vagus nerve to stimulate the gastric glands, getting the stomach ready for the digestive core. So it triggers the vagus nerve and the medulla and inside the hypothalamus, the first step is the cerebral cortex. Then the hypothalamus and the medulla, which triggers the vagus nerves. The next phase is the gastric phase. In the gastric phase, this is when you start eating the food and the food reaches the stomach. And in the stomach, is the local neural and hormonal mechanism initiate the gastric phase. That's how the gastric phase comes. This phase lasts about 3 to 4 hours, depending on how big the meal is. It can last up to 6 hours, and it provides about 2/3 of gastric juice. Okay, and what happens in this phase is when the stomach starts to scratch, it triggers the scratch receptors and initiates the both long-term and the short and long reflectives. In the long reflectives, this is when the impulses travel to the medulla, so back to the brain, and then back to the stomach through the vagal fibers. The next phase you have is the intestinal phase. In the intestinal phase, this is when the presence of partially digested food in the duodenum or the detention of the duodenum begins the stomach. The stomach begins to empty. So in this phase, this is like one of the final phases. This is when your stomach begins to empty. And this is when the partial digested food fills the first part or the duodenum of the small intestines. This stimulates the intestinal mucosa cells to release intestinal gastrin, which is a hormone that encourages the gastric glands to continue their secretory activity. This secretory effect is brief because it is overridden by the inhibitory stimuli and the intestine fields. And one of the hidden parts of the phases is the inhabitation, which is 4 main factors in the duodenum causes it to put the brakes on digestive secretion. And that is it.